What's up, college football fans, quarterback fans? Welcome to another QB Spotlight video podcast. However you're getting this information, we thank you for tuning in. We got a really special guest today, Wake Forest quarterback Mitch Griffis. He's taking time out of his busy schedule to jump on and talk quarterback. So before we get into the interview and before we start talking with him, I just want to encourage all to consider subscribing to the channel and just follow along. This is a quarterback hub. We put out anything quarterback related is all fair game here. And Mitch, before we dive into some of your background and some stuff I really want to touch on, would you mind giving people listening what your schedule looks like right now, like what it looks like to be a Division I quarterback right now when you're 2 weeks away or less than 2 weeks away from camp? Because you're still pretty busy going through things. So if you would mind everyone a brief background, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So wake up every morning. I wake up at 6:45, which isn't too bad considering what we do in the season. So wake up at 6:45 every morning. Do a little morning routine that I have. Starts with 15 minutes of meditation and prayer. Just gets my day started. Eat a quick breakfast. Head to the facility and I have a lift at 8 a.m. So get my lift in. Usually ends around 9:30. Sprint home. Get a quick meal in, quick breakfast. Come right back up to the facility, get some treatment. Thankful for our athletic training staff here at Wake. They take great care of me and help me stay healthy, help my throwing arm stay healthy. So do a bunch of treatment with them a few times a week. Usually after that, I'll come up to the quarterback room and watch some film for about an hour. And that could be anything. That could be, opponents that we're going to play this year, cut-ups from the spring, cut-ups from the season, some NFL tape if I feel like watching like a quarterback I enjoy watching. And then after that, I'll hit like a 15-minute mobility block, just working on some hip stuff, some T-spine stuff, some shoulder stuff. And then after that, I head home, have a quick lunch. That's about like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then Mondays and Thursdays, we're allowed 2 hours on the field a week. So we'll have a quarterback meeting for about 45 minutes, and then go out there and have a practice and then a player's practice after that, which is about an hour. And then on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'll come back up here on my own, probably watch some more tape, and then have a throwing session with a few of my wideouts. Usually my days end around 4 or 5 o'clock, and then I kind of spend the rest of the day hanging out with my friends at my house or other teammates and doing whatever. So it's a busy schedule, but I enjoy staying busy. I don't like sitting around being bored.
Yeah, so even though it's not the business of like the season necessarily, it's still like a full-time gig in the off season to be ready for the season, right? Like you mentioned, just going through like basic mobility blocks, 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, that adds over time. Like watching film of practice, right? Watching film of you throwing, that's something that you do, throughout the week to prepare for the season. With training camp coming up, can you give everyone, before we kind of dive into your background, give everyone who hasn't experienced a college football training camp what that schedule is like? Because there's no such thing as 2 days. It's a full day event, right? You show up for breakfast and you get back to your campus or your dorm room like 10, 11 o'clock. Yeah,
so basically I get up every morning for camp. I think breakfast starts at let's just say 6:30. So I'm up by 5:45, 6. And I don't get back to my house until probably 10 if I'm lucky. So about 9:30, 10 each night. And, camps are grind and you're tired. So you try to get home say you get home at 10 and you got to get up at 6. That's, you get home with only 8 hours to wake up. So you got to shower, brush your teeth, get in bed quick so you can, do the best you can to get 7 hours. But I'm usually probably around 6.5 in camp, just so I don't fall asleep right away. And I'm trying my best, but that's just the nature of what we got to do. So,
I remember we always take those like 15-minute naps in the locker room, where like you set your alarm and like you wake up, but you feel like you overslept essentially. People that know, you have like a morning practice. You watch that morning practice film. You got weights, you got position meetings, you got team meetings, you got afternoon practices. Like you try to get in some naps in between all those events you got.
I'm not a big nap guy. I'm a hyper person. I struggle falling asleep during the day. I struggle falling asleep at night, and as hard as it is. So I'm not a big nap guy during the day, and I like to stay busy during the day and I always feel like there's something I can do, whether it's hang out with a teammate or spend time with my buddies or do something to get better. So I try to stay awake during the day, but it's hard. Definitely fighting some demons around 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a good. Coaches usually do a good job too, making camp fun. Like it's a grind for the back in college that we'd get like an afternoon off and it would be like the best day ever.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get a surprise movie night here and there, and that gets the guys going for at least a few more days.
Yeah, just to help you get through. And then the best feeling, and this, like, if you didn't go to college camp, it's hard to like experience this, but like the campus is like so empty and dead, during camp. It's just you, maybe the volleyball team or soccer, or, other team sports are there. Like the best feeling is when school starts. You're like, thank God, like it's a full practice schedule now. You know what I mean?
No doubt. I've never been so excited for a school year to start. But when I got to college, I knew that was the end of camp. And I love camp. It's a grind, and I enjoy it. But it's hard. But you gotta love it.
It's hard, yeah.
That's why you do it.
It's part of it. At least most part, quarterbacks get to wear a red jersey, and so we're not having to get beat up like some of those. Like we're complaining about camp, but like the guys protecting you, like they're every boom, boom.
That's why I try not to complain about it too much in front of the guys, because they could just look at me and tell me to shut up, and I'd understand.
Oh man, well, Mitch, I feel like anyone that played college ball, they have that like bond of like they know what it's like. But with that said, if you don't mind taking us back to high school, maybe giving us just like a few minutes of your background from high school football, how you got recruited, why you chose Wake Forest, and kind of bring us up to speed to where you are now in your career, if you don't mind doing that in a few minutes.
Yeah, like I said, I'm from Virginia. Grew up an ACC football fan. Two good ACC programs from my home state in Virginia Tech. So I grew up watching them. Got a lot of family from North Carolina, so I watched Wake Forest, NC State, Carolina, Duke, all those teams. I went to Broad Run High School. My dad was my head coach all 4 years, and that was an awesome experience for me. I really enjoyed playing for him. That was pretty cool. I was lucky enough to start as a freshman. The last 8 games of my freshman year, I got to start on varsity, which was pretty cool. Had some success. Had a good sophomore season. Went to a bunch of one-day camps at schools. I really started going to one-day camps after my 8th grade year. And I'm lucky that my dad understood the recruiting process just because he'd been through it with his players over the years. So went to camps early and started forming relationships with coaches. And really Wake Forest and Coach R, was the first school to really take an interest in me at such a young age. I was a freshman when I came to camp. They didn't care about my height. They didn't care about my weight. They just looked at me as any other quarterback, and they evaluated me honestly. And they told me if I had a good sophomore year, they'd offer me. And then after my sophomore year, I got a few offers. And the Wake Forest was, I think, my 5th offer. And I kind of knew after going on some visits that's where I wanted to go at a young age. And I committed probably 3 weeks after they offered me. And my recruiting process, in a way, started blowing up, but also slowed down after that. So with high school football, coaches can only reach out to your high school coach. Obviously, my dad was my high school coach, so it was a lot easier for coaches to reach out to me. But once I committed, I never spoke to another coach, never took another visit. I wanted to go to Wake Forest, and I didn't want to – there was no reason for me to, entertain anything else. But a lot of coaches reached out to my dad, and that's when I got most of my offers, was after my commitment. But, again, I wasn't interested in any of those. So stayed true to Wake Forest because that's where I wanted to go, and they believed in me. And I believed in Coach Clausen and Coach R and what the program they were building here. And I've been fortunate enough to, be a part of this program for 3 years, going into my 4th year. And I've had, a decent amount of playing time. Obviously sat behind Sam for 3 seasons, which I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful for the COVID year, granting me another year of eligibility. So I have 3 years left. So I got to learn a lot, got to play a good amount, start a game, make some mistakes, have some success. So that's where I'm at right now in my football journey, and I'm excited to finally get an opportunity to start this year.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. We're glad to be watching you play as well. Going back to high school with your dad being the coach, were there any times where you're like, damn, like I threw that pick or this and that, like it's an awkward drive in the car home? They're like, obviously it's great playing for him, and you mentioned that. You got any like funny stories where it was like, oh man, I don't want to go home today. I did this and that.
Yeah, it was never. There is a funny story. So my freshman year, we were playing a team. It was our homecoming game, and I threw a pick right before the half. And my sister was on the homecoming court. She was a junior. So I don't know, the dad walks the daughter out for the homecoming court, I guess. So my dad had to walk my sister out 5 minutes after I just threw a bad interception. So my sister, there's supposed to be like a special moment with my sister and my dad, but my dad's pissed off because I just threw a pick. And I think another parent on the homecoming court said to my dad, like, you need to start throwing the ball more downfield. And my dad was already upset that I just thrown a pick, and he was out there with us at halftime. Yeah. And I don't know what happened after that, but I remember he was not a happy camper when he came back into that locker room.
That's great. We have someone else who helps co-host the podcast sometimes, Brady McBride. You may have heard him. He was Texas State quarterback, App State quarterback as well. He played for his dad in high school too. So there's always like good stories about the quarterback and your dad. But I know like it sounds like you have some special moments with him as well that not a lot of quarterbacks probably can cherish. It's funny. It's like talking those interesting stories. Okay, so I do want to go to something you mentioned when you were giving us the background, because you talked about backing up Sam Hartman the past few years. And I want to talk about a few things that you learned from him, watching him play, how he watched film, whatever it may be. I don't want that narrative like, oh, Mitch has big shoes to fill, this and that. I don't like to buy into something like that. I want to talk about more like what did you learn from him? Like, how are you going to be able to apply his qualities to your game now? How has your game been better from just learning from Hartman these past few years?
I think the thing that I take away from Sam is his resiliency. I mean, he went out there every snap and gave it his all. He played his ass off week in, week out. No matter what the score was, his energy did not change. He's a ferocious competitor. He works really hard. But, man, he's fearless. He gives it his all. If he threw a touchdown or picked the job before, you wouldn't be able to tell. He went out there and just try to make plays and run our offense. And that's something I admired about Sam is just how his mentality stayed the same, throughout the course of the game, just playing fearless and playing relentless. So that's something I'll take away from watching Sam.
Yeah, that's dope. And you did mention that you started a game last year whenever Sam was unable to play. And so I do want to, if you don't mind, go into a little bit detail of like how that start has helped develop and maybe giving you some confidence going into this season, not just the start itself, but you were practicing with the one for several weeks leading up to that. So it's more than just game, just 2, 3, whatever weeks it was of you being the guy, right? Like being the leader, like knowing that you're under center. So kind of talk about how that was for your development and, how you are using that now.
Yeah. Physically, it helped me out a ton. Just, gaining experience in the offense versus the starting defense. And getting the trust of my teammates, and gaining the trust, the confidence in myself. I've always believed in myself, but it's nice to get some validity, seeing that I can perform at the college level. That was obviously one of my first experiences of doing that. So cool, just kind of validating that to myself that I can do it. And again, gaining the trust and the confidence in my teammates. I think that was, a big momentum builder for me going into this year. Just showing my teammates that I can do it and, and not take any steps back and, continue to improve in the offense. And I also think off the field it helped me a ton, just dealing with, being the starting quarterback, the pressure of it, the magnitude of an ACC school and dealing with media, dealing with the leadership role. So just in total, every experience of that situation was extremely helpful. It just gave me a little taste of what my future would be like. So obviously that's not the reason why I wanted to start a college football game, just because of, Sam's a good friend of mine, and obviously I'm one of his biggest fans. So that was hard to see him go down, but, I tried to make the most of my opportunity and help our team win. And I was glad that he was able to come back and finish the year out because he deserved that.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And in that game, obviously Sam came back, had a great season. In that game, though, you played pretty good yourself. What, 5 touchdowns? Is that right? Did you remember the number?
I don't even remember
you had a bunch, dude. No, you had a bunch. Yeah, you played good. You were the talk of the town that week. But with that, you got like a favorite play from that game. Like you can like walk us through, like, man, okay, the defense was X, Y, and Z. I knew I had this, and that, without giving away the offense.
Yeah. Just the first touchdown I threw was a little sprint out play, and our slot receivers run a little corner route and ran a great route. Guy was pressed up on him, tight on him pre-snap. He gave a good nod at the top of the route and broke for the top pylon, and good route by him. And I thought, it was one of my better throws of the game. So it was a cool play, and it was to one of my good friends too. Another Northern Virginia guy, Taylor Marin. So it was a cool experience for us. That was my second college touchdown. And I actually threw my first college touchdown too, so it was cool to throw on our second touchdown together. Yeah,
that's dope, dude. When you're getting, I know you talked about just starting that one game, just in general. I know you're a good athletic quarterback, can move, you can from the pocket, on the run. Is it good? At least when I played, I enjoyed getting hit at the beginning of the game. That just kind of eased my jitters. I was like, okay, I'm ready to roll. Is that the same for you? You like getting hit first, or?
Yeah, definitely. I remember I started the game. I think I started the first drive like 4 for 4. But I still felt like after the drive, I was still like up tempo. Then finally, like I think on like a third down, I finally threw the ball and got popped, and that let me settle down. After I'd already completed a few throws, and like I think I'd even had like a carry where I slid, but just kind of getting that first hit is what always settles me down. So I wish they'd put me on kickoff or kickoff return. I'd probably get popped, but just to get that first pop out of the way. I mean, it wouldn't be smart. So I would get probably smacked, but
I don't think they're going to let the starting quarterback on kickoff on kick return anytime soon. Yeah. But no, with that said, I was the same way. Unfortunately, I didn't have the career that you're having and that you're going to have. My only touchdown in college was to the other team. If that tells you anything. I got depleted too. Like the helmet was popped up too. So that did not settle me into that game. That got me out of the game. But generally speaking, I enjoyed getting hit as well and able to kind of ease those jitters. Okay, so back to the game. We talked about the touchdown. You got like a favorite concept? Like if it's up to you, if like they're like, hey Mitch, like go run the 2-minute offense, whatever it may be. Like you're not getting the play calls coming in. It's up to you. What is like? Walk us through maybe one or two of your favorite plays again, without giving away the offense. Don't want you in trouble. And then kind of what you're looking for the defense to be doing for you to succeed with that play. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think honestly, like our coaches do such a good job of preparing us, and Coach Art does such a good job preparing our offense that. He loves this quote from, I think it's Bill Walsh, but I think Bill Walsh said that the 2-minute offense is just executing your most basic plays in the highest pressure situations. So our 2-minute offense is just the same as our normal offense. I mean, you can watch the tape, you can cut the plays on and see what we run. It's really all the same. We just have to execute them at a high level in a high pressure situation. So I don't know if I have a single play that is my favorite. I just feel like our coaches do such a good job preparing us for the offense. I feel very confident in any play call Coach R decides to call. So I'm thankful for how much he prepares us, and I'm thankful for his energy he brings every day to practice into the meeting rooms. He makes it fun. As you can tell, I have some NFL knowledge because he gives us NFL history lessons at least once a week. So that's how I knew that quote. But that's one of his favorite quotes. So again, I feel very confident in all the plays. I mean, if I had to pick one play, it's just cover one and we're throwing 4 verts and I get to pick the deep ball to throw.
That's a typical quarterback answer.
Yeah, so that's probably my favorite play in our offense, but that only happens every few games when we're lucky. So
I can't imagine many teams on cover one against y'all that offense, huh?
It depends every year, honestly. Every year is something new for the town.
Yeah. No, gotcha. Very cool. Do you have you mentioned the NFL and the coach kind of teaching on NFL? Obviously, I got great coaches. I mean, unbelievable coaches with what y'all been able to do. But you mentioned the NFL. You have any NFL guys you look up to and not imitate, but try to take away things to help your own game? Are there a few guys that stand out to you?
Yeah, I love watching Patrick Mahomes. I think he's just super creative with how he gets the ball out of his hands. And a lot of people think, there's this stigma of having an NFL offense. But if you cut on the Kansas City Chiefs and you watch, 2 or 3 games, it's going to look a lot similar to college offenses. So just seeing how he navigates those kind of plays, and they run the RPO a good amount. They run the quick screen game a lot, and they run a lot of quick game and stuff. And their vertical passing game is fun to watch. So just seeing how creative he is with the ball in his hands. He really is a true facilitator, and he'll get it to you any way he can. So I really just like watching him and seeing how he extends plays and he's a fearless competitor. So I love watching him. I love watching old Drew Brees tape just because he's super efficient with the ball and his completion percentage is through the roof for his entire career. So any old Drew Brees tape I can get my hands on, I like to watch a lot too.
Yeah, no, that's dope. Drew Brees is an elite facilitator as well. I like that word you used. That's what a quarterback is supposed to do, right? And you mentioned Pat Mahomes, and he's known. He's got a great workout. He's got a great like pregame routine. He's got a great
Yeah.
trainer. He's like set with his body. He takes care of his body really well. And it sounds like you do too as well with the abilities that you're doing throughout the day with waking up early to get your body right. Can you take us through what your pregame routine looks like when you're getting ready for the game? Whether it's like shoulder care, whether it's like specific work you get ready for. Can you kind of just walk through that?
Yeah. So depends when kickoff is. So I'll start with once I get to the stadium, it's all the same, but the day depends on when kickoff is. So if we have a typical noon kickoff, I'm probably up by 6:30, just because we get to the stadium by 9:30. We got all the stuff we have to do, walkthroughs, breakfast, and whatnot before we leave. So I usually up at 6:30, and I'll do a quick mobility routine just because my warm up is at such a quick turnaround. It's in 2 hours, 3 hours. So I'll do a quick hip, T-spine, shoulder, just mobility routine, probably 10, 15 minutes, super quick. Hop in the shower, obviously I'll meditate, pray if and all that jazz. But just from a physical standpoint, the quick mobility routine. Then if our game's at 4:00, which sometimes it gets like 4:30 kickoffs or 3:30, 4:30 kickoff, whenever the mid-afternoon kickoff. I'll probably get up at 9 o'clock just because game day is so long. I get so bored just sitting in the hotel, and I can't nap.
Are you watching games? Do you watch games? Like, do you have a late game?
Yeah, I'm watching games all day if we're playing a late game. But I get so bored just sitting in the hotel, so I try to let myself sleep in, just because I know I'm gonna be bored if I get up at a normal time. But that warm up's a little different just because I got more time. So if we play at 4, our warm up probably starts at 1:30 when we get to the stadium. So about 4 to 5 hours before that. So let's just say 9 o'clock, 9:30. I'm doing that same mobility routine, but a little bit more extensive because I have more time. I'm hitting a lot of hip stuff, a lot of T-spine stuff, a lot of shoulder stuff, and I'll get moving around a little bit. I'll do some A-skips, some lateral stuff, some shuffles, some crossover runs, some vertical jumps, some bounds, some lateral bounds, and I'll sprint 2 or 3 times. I'm doing this all in the hotel hallway. I usually go to the top floor of the hotel where no one is at and just kind of listen to some music, chill out, and just get my body primed, to get my nervous system ready to go, knowing that I have a competition, getting it fired up, ready to go for a few hours. And then 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock game, a later game, I'll wake up at probably 8, 9 o'clock, do a quick mobility routine at when I wake up, the 15-minute one, wait a little bit longer, do the more extensive one at around 2 or 3 o'clock, and then I'm at the field. So once I get to the field, we have a quick little team stations warm up, about 10 minutes, some hip stuff and some walking stretches and stuff, some dynamic stretches. So I'll do that real quick. Go into the locker room, get my ankles taped, get my wrists taped. And then from there, I do my typical everyday warm-up routine. So my warm-up routine varies by the day. It just changes. I have different routines I do on different days, just so I try to use my warm-ups as an opportunity to get different aspects of arm care in, hip mobility, T-spine mobility, just kind of using that time because I'm so busy in the season to steal that time to get some work in. So it'll consist of a certain, like I said, hip, T-spine, shoulder mobility. And then I'll get us some movement stuff like some A-skips. And like I said, kind of basically repeating the warm-up I did in the hotel. But at this point, my body knows it's a game. I've already warmed up once or twice, so I don't really need that long. So it's 15 minutes getting my body ready to go. Then I'm out there throwing for, 10, 15 minutes. I don't need long just because my body knows, I'm ready to go. And I've already moved enough. And the big thing is not fatiguing myself. So just probably out there for 30 minutes, moving around, throwing. And then I'll go into the locker room and chill for 15 minutes, drink some water, eat some food, listen to some music, talk to the guys. And I'll start getting my pads on. And then the quarterbacks, we leave with, I think, 55 minutes until kickoff. We go outside. Okay. If you want a more specific thing, we can definitely dive into more specifics. But that's like a broad generalization of what I like to do.
Yeah, I think that's great. That gives good insight, and I like how you mentioned like you're priming your central nervous system. Like your nervous system is about to go into like a very powerful producing movements time after time, rep after rep. And so getting that prepared, you got definitely a good understanding of that. I know they take good care of it. They probably I know they got a strength staff over there that's facilitating with that, which is great. You mentioned music. What music are you listening to before a game? Are you getting pumped up? Are you kind of more mellow and chill? What you throw in your ears?
If you were to look at a flow chart, right? If this is aroused and this is relaxed, I am extremely aroused. So I try to listen to music that relaxes me.
Gotcha.
So I'm a big Post Malone guy. I love Post Malone. Sometimes his stuff gets me hyped up, but nothing too crazy. And I like country too. So Toby Keith, Morgan Wallen, Kenny Chesney. That's usually what I stick to. And sometimes near Christmas time, I'll do some Christmas music because never listen too much Christmas music. So that'll I like to throw that in there.
That's funny. I actually listen to Christmas music as well when I play. You're the only person I've ever met in my entire life that had Christmas music on as their pregame.
Yeah,
but I was like,
I never listen to it too much.
Yeah. Anytime I try to get too high, like I throw 3 picks in a quarter and just be atrocious. So
yeah, I like to stay very mellow.
Yeah, that's dope. You mentioned some shoulder routine. Do you have a specific shoulder routine or a plan that you'll from the off season just for shoulder health in general, like a pretty specific program that you're on, or is it kind of more a feel thing?
Yeah, it is specific. And I like to do it in like blocks of like 3 to 4 weeks. So I like to just continue to give myself new stimulus throughout the offseason, throughout the season, the things that I feel work best for me. So obviously the best way to keep your shoulder healthy is just to lift in everything, lift and run, and just a general strength program, squat, deadlift, dumbbell press, anything any lifting is going to benefit you as a thrower. So obviously I do that with my strength staff. We have awesome strength staff here. And they look out for me as a quarterback. They never ask me to do anything that would put my shoulder in a tough position or dangerous for my shoulder or elbow. So I'm very thankful for what they've done for me and the rest of our quarterbacks. But I will incorporate, there is some shoulder work incorporated into our list. So decent amount of band work, decent amount of body weight work. I love just band work, just your classic Cuban press, your rotation to press, just external rotation stuff. I love rotator cuff work with the dumbbell and putting the dumbbell on your knee and, working the rotator cuff. I love hanging, gotten a lot of hanging this offseason, single arm, double arm hangs. Love crawling. I crawl every day. Big into crawling, big into moving the scapula and moving the shoulder around with some all fours. A lot of floor work, I's, T's, Y's, your typical stuff, and a lot of plyo ball work too, pre and post throw. So right now I got a Monday, Thursday warm-up routine, a Tuesday, Friday, and a Wednesday, Saturday. I like to break them up in those days because just try to get as much variety as I can in my warm-up. Because to be honest, I don't need very long to warm up. I need 15 minutes and I'm in a full sweat ready to throw. So really any movement I do is going to get me warmed up in a way. So I try to keep it varied, so I can steal time while I'm warming up and hitting more things. So Mondays and Thursdays is a vertical crawl paired with a T-spine movement and what else I do on? And what's my
you're on the spot.
Yeah, and an external rotation exercise, a mobility. So I'm let's see my shoulder. I'm off the wall here, and then I'm, taking my shoulder back and holding a isometric.
Get some holds.
Yep. And then after that, I'll swing a PVC pipe 3 times each way as hard as I can. Just warming up, moving my body around. I'll do some plyo ball throws. And after that, I'm pretty good to go. That takes me about 15 minutes. I hit about 2, 3, 4 sets of everything. So I'm getting some T-spine. I'm getting some total body with the crawls. I'm getting some rotation with the PVC, some shoulder with the mobility and the crawls and the plyo balls. And that's Monday, Thursday. Right now, Tuesday, Friday is a lateral crawl, different T-spine activity, a bent over T. I just feel like for me, bent over T's really light my post delt up and my scabs up. They fire me up. So I'm super get a big pump after that. So I love that. I'll do some hip mobility. in place of the PVC swings just to keep my pelvis and spine moving opposite. And then I'll do some more plyo ball work. And then Wednesday and Saturday, those are off days for lifting, so I can get in and do some extra movement stuff to get me ready to throw. So I'll do some curvilinear sprints and some more football-like movements. So that helps me get warmed up. I'll do a lot of med ball stuff just because I have more time. And I haven't lifted that day, so I have, my tank is full and I can really, express some power with the med ball. And just some more T-spine stuff, more shoulder stuff. And that's a backwards crawl day, Wednesday, Saturday. So crawls are the biggest thing for me. Just I think they warm up my core, moving the scap a ton, and just I love crawls. I don't know. I've gotten big into crawls this year, so that's kind of like an overall thing for me right now. And then my post throw, big thing for me is just one, restoring mobility in my shoulder. So a lot of internal external rotation exercises. Those are Monday, Thursday. A lot of reverse plyo throws. So just taking the ball and, I'm sure you've seen MLB pitchers do all the time. And a lot of just getting blood back in there. So I'm doing like a lot of flex T walks, up and down the field. A lot of lat stretching too after. I like to have a mix of like an active thing and a passive thing. So that's what I do as my cool downs. And then been super thankful that our training staff here works on me twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays, get cupped, get some ART, some mobility. So I'm super thankful for those guys. They help me out a ton. So I feel like I have a pretty decent program going right now. And it changes every day. Like right. This is the most consistent of a throwing program warm-up I've had for probably 2 years. I've rolled with this for about a month. By the time camp comes around, it's going to change. And there's going to be something new in there. Just I like to always adapt. I don't like my body to get used to something. I think a general body thing. It's not one thing you can do. I think it's a total holistic approach. So I think as long as you're doing something, you have a routine, you'll be all right.
That answer about 5-6 minutes, but that fired me up. Like you could go teach a course about that. To be honest,
I'm very passionate about my sports science. So it is.
No, I think are you studying sports? Are you studying that?
No, I'm not. I'm actually studying education.
Okay.
But I've been fortunate enough. My trainer back home, Drew Stevens. I don't know if you're familiar with Lauren Landau.
I don't think so.
He trained the Denver Broncos, but my trainer was a mentor or was a intern for him. So I'm thankful that he's got a lot of experience there. So I was blessed to work with him and get a lot of knowledge from him. And I follow Bob Strope and all his stuff and all the guys at APEC in Texas. So I think they do some awesome stuff. So I'm not a genius. I just steal really cool stuff off the internet. So and see what works for me.
Well, we'll keep doing it. That's everything you need to be doing, and you'd be surprised. There's so many great programs out there, but at the same time, there's definitely other programs and quarterback developers, if you will, that maybe is like lacking that, and you're way ahead of the game. So we work with a lot of quarterbacks down here in Texas and baseball players we've worked with for years, and that's a very similar model to what you just approach. Like if I'm giving a seminar to someone, like you use a lot of the terms and reasoning behind what we would say. So keep doing what you're doing. Not that you need any affirmation from me. But with that said, that probably I could talk forever about that, Mitch. But I'm sure some people are kind of lost. But that's okay. That was awesome. But with that said, let's touch on something that's super prevalent right now. It's the new day and age of college ball. And obviously, you have the transfer portal, but you have NIL, right? And so that's a great opportunity for these college athletes like yourself to earn what you're worth. And so, being a Power 5, Division I quarterback, opportunities come with that through the NIL. So, can you talk about one, maybe what some of those opportunities are, and two, where people listening can find any marketing deals or any NIL stuff that you have going on? Let us know here, and we'll spread that out.
Yeah, I think NIL is great. I think it's super important for college athletes to get paid. I mean, we are a part of a $1 billion business, and that continues to grow. So I think it is time that college athletes get some compensation for that. And I'm very thankful for Coach Clausen. He's been super supportive of us. He's all about us making money, making it the right way, and doing the right thing. So it's pretty cool. We have a collective here at Wake Forest that's been very generous to our players, and I'm very thankful for for what I've gotten from the collective. And you know, it's helped me out a lot financially, and so I'm very thankful for that. I think, and like I said, I think NIL is great. I think there are some flaws in it. I think it's flawed in the sense where there's a lot of lies that you see on social media about this guy got paid this much or this guy was offered this much, and I think that becomes a problem when people start reaching out from other schools and trying to pull kids from certain schools and offering them, you know, X, Y, and Z and all this money, and then that's a problem in of itself. But the problem is also when that kid gets there, that money isn't real. So I think it can be controlled a little bit better. I think it's a very hard thing to manage because it's so new.
Right.
And like I said, it's a positive if done the right way, but I think there are some negatives in it. So I think it puts a lot of coaches and players in tough situations. Coaches have to continuously manage rosters, which is hard. And players leave to make more money. And can you really blame a kid who just got offered $500,000 that can go help his family back home, who might not be financially strong? You really can't blame a kid for trying to help his family back home or help his future self. So the problem is when kids, you know, take that, but the money's not there because they were lied to. So I think that's another issue. But for me personally, I just launched a website, themitchgriffis.com. There's merchandise. There's a newsletter. Plenty of things. If people want to tune into that'd be awesome. My agent, Austin Wilson at Vanguard Sports, is incredible. He's a great guy, a great friend, and a great businessman. So I'm super thankful for him. He's helped me out a ton. I'm working on finalizing a deal right now with my favorite barbecue spot here in town, Little Richard's Barbecue. So that's going to come out soon. And I also have been working on a deal with Gary's clothing store here in Winston-Salem. He provides suits and makes suits for guys, and he hooked me up with my suit for ACC Media Day. So can't thank Gary enough for what he's done for me. So some cool things happening for me. I'm very fortunate, very blessed. I'm just here to play football. You know, anything else is pretty cool. So
that's dope. We'll definitely put the link in the description below on the YouTube and the podcast, and we'll definitely be supporting and rocking that. So, Mitch, you're so great with your time. Thank you so much for hopping on and talking quarterbacks. We've kind of dove through your playing career. We've dove through kind of some X's and O's, some stuff in the weeds. We've kind of hit everything. But before we get you out of here, I always like ending with one thing, and I like the person we're talking to give some advice to the next generation. So with that said, what would be 1, 2, 3 kind of big advices you would give to a quarterback, maybe in your situation when you were a sophomore, junior in high school, starting to recruit, things are ramping up. You're not a huge recruit, but you have interest. You know, what would you give? What kind of advice would you give to a kid in your situation a few years ago?
Yeah, the first thing is you have to be the hardest worker you know. If that was one thing I prided myself with in high school is I had great friends, great teammates, but I knew when I looked at every other kid on my team, I knew that I outworked them every single day. And I was motivated by that. I would look at kids from other sports, and if I saw a basketball player shooting hoops in the morning in the gym, it fired me up because I want to be the hardest working kid in my high school. And that's the first thing. If you're not willing to, you know, sacrifice some things and work your tail off day in and day out, then college football is not for you. So that's the first thing I'd say. If you want it, you got to work for it. Second thing is go where you're wanted. I felt loved and cared for by Wake Forest the first time I talked to them. I felt appreciated. I felt valued, and I still feel that today. So I think it's super important to go where you're wanted as a college football recruit, because there's a lot of people out there I see chasing big offers and going to certain schools, and you know it wasn't a great fit for them because you know the coaches weren't really sure if they wanted them. You know, some offers are committable, some aren't. That was one thing I loved about Wake Forest. Every offer they give out is committable, and they told me that from the start. So I appreciated that from them. I felt valued, felt loved. So go where you're wanted. And lastly, don't be afraid to go to camps. Like that's where I was recruited, was at camps. I'm a small quarterback. I'm 5'10". I wasn't getting recruited just off my tape alone. I had to go and throw in front of coaches. So you're never too good to go to camps. I know 4 and 5 stars that went to camps every single year. So I think when people play the card that, oh, I'm not going to camp, like you're never too good to go to a camp. I think that's super important. Now, if you have 50 offers and someone tells you to come to camp, okay, maybe. But in my position, I don't think you're ever too good to go to camp and really show what you can do. So those are my 3 pieces of advice.
Yeah, that's great. All mature answers. I can tell, you raised in a great household. You got great family. You got great coaches, and man, you got a bright future ahead. And we'll be Wake Forest fans this year, Mitch. So again, thanks for coming on. Everyone that watched this video, listened to it, go check out his website. We'll put the website link below, and we'll also put the Instagram handle, Twitter handle, all that fun stuff. And if you like the video, please consider subscribing to the channel, to the podcast, all that fun stuff. We put out quarterback content on a weekly basis and bring on cool guests like Mitch. So again, Mitch, thanks for coming on, and go get him this year. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me.